It's.
Hi, Rick, can you hear us okay?
Well, it's great. It does. It's not bad.
But you, Karen, can you hear us okay?
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's really. Hello, it's 6:30 and we'll call this meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, we get turned around here. Okay, I guess we'll start with what we usually start with. Roll call, please.
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stelter,
Here.
Trustee Check,
Here.
Trustee Heck,
Here.
Trustee Hunter. Here. Trustee Turnup,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda before I ask for a motion to approve it? Seeing none, I move to approve the agenda. Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Are you affirmative online?
Aye.
Gotcha. Saw the thumb. Thank you. So I do not have any announcements, but I'm going to turn it over to Clerk Better because I think we have 2 existing openings still.
Yes, sorry, I didn't get this in the announcements like I normally do, but by golly, it's being advertised, so. We still have an open seat on the zoning board of adjustments we're accepting applications for. You do not have to live in town. They only meet when there's a public hearing or a quasi judicial thing. So it's not a regular meeting. If you're interested, please fill out a committee application and get it into me by December 3rd. We also still have an open trustee position. The term will only last until April when municipal elections are. Of course, if somebody gets in there and likes it, they can run for that seat then. And again, that one's December 3rd. You have to live in town, have to be a registered voter in order to be a member of the Board of Trustees. Any questions, please call the clerk's office. Ruben or I are happy to help you.
Thank you. Anyone else with an announcement? Okay. We'll move on to the public comment portion of our meetings, which is anyone in the room or on Zoom who would like to make a comment on any topic not on tonight's agenda, you are more than welcome to do so. You have a 3-minute time limit and raise your hand and I'll recognize you and you come up to the podium. Is there anyone in the room with something they would like to talk about? Seeing none, anybody on Zoom?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to consent agenda. We have the November 10th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the November 25th disbursements. Any questions or comments on those two?
I have a comment on that one. So you'll see something for about over $500,000. It is for our water tank. We have done a law drawdown on that. We haven't received those funds yet. So my note to staff is we don't send the check until we have the money. And so most likely that check will be mailed next week. Even though they did say that they made it a wire transfer on Monday, this past Monday, yesterday. Well, we haven't received those funds yet. So
Anyone else? No comments or questions? Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to staff reports and Stefan, I turn it over to you.
I've actually got two. So it's not just a departmental scorecard, but I'm also going to go over the CIP rankings that I presented to you in hard form at your desk, and then it will be in an amended agenda packet. So this first is the departmental scorecard. It was updated. There's a number of items in here that were updated as of the 22nd. So if there's any questions that you guys might have over what's in there, just let me know. You know, my understanding is I didn't add anything, and I don't think anybody else added anything. Instead, we gave updates on ongoing projects, and then we removed projects that have already shown that were completed. And these, just to refresh everybody's memories, these aren't like construction projects. You know, they could be, but they're like all the extra stuff that we've been working on aside from just daily operations. This spreadsheet, thankfully, for the first time in months, is getting smaller instead of just growing. So we are getting things done. And then the next big thing is the CIP rankings. So this is the spreadsheet that is in front of you. And like I said, it will be in the amended agenda packet. And it is available for the public, print off over on the table at the front of the board. I'm really happy to see that the highest scored project was the town hall roof repair, because it is starting to be a little bit more of a problem, and it's directly above my office. So what we didn't address though is the sinkhole at the chief's office. So mine took priority. But no, it is. Trustee Tarno has her hand raised as well. So
Go ahead. Trustee Torno?
Sorry, I can wait until you're finished with your presentation,
okay,
Administrator.
sure. So you'll see things that are like green highlighted. Those are things that have supplemental funding. So it's not just things that came, you know, or within fund balance, but might be a loan. It might be grants, or we may have applied for a grant, and we're waiting to hear back on those things. But that's what those green highlights are. We did highlight, or we did score the wastewater pond relining pretty high. Even though we haven't done any engineering on it, we haven't done anything towards looking at doing that. We just recognize that it's an important project that needs to be on our radars.
Could you when you talk about, could you reference the number?
Number 6.
Yeah.
Ranking number, and so when I give numbers, it'll be the ranking. It won't be like the project number.
Thank you.
But so rank number 6, that is one that's on our radars. It's not going to make it in the fiscal year 26 budget, but it is something that's going to be in our 5-year capital improvement plan that we need to start working or towards. It was nice to have this ranking. It's going to help me with prioritizing projects. As thing for this final capital improvement plan that will be included in the final draft of the budget for our next meeting, December 9th. There are some things like, there are some vehicle replacements, although they didn't score as high, that they need to happen. And they follow that vehicle replacement plan that we've already seen, that I think I submitted with that worksheet for scoring. So you can see what staff was planning for 26, 27, 28, 29. And then the final, at the bottom is, what's required cash. So I did that based on for the general fund, less grant and debt financing. We've got still an outstanding required cash of just about $1.3 million for what's on this plan right now. Now, does that mean we're going to spend it all, try to spend all of that in fiscal year 26? No, this is, again, a 5-year capital improvement plan. So those things will be broken up. The big one, though, is the water fund. So we have this, we have about $6.5 million worth of projects that need to happen. We have just under $5.7 million in supplemental funding. That's debt financing and grants. And so there's that required water fund cash of $870,000. So that's kind of how this whole document plays out. I mean, with having 51 projects, 49 projects. We left 2 expansion cells for public works in case there's something that pops up, right? Like, I'm not even gonna, it's not going to. But 49 projects that have to be thought of over the next 5 years. And possibly, if they don't score high, because let's say criticality or age and future scorings, they can move to 2030, 31. But this is the start of a true capital improvement plan that I think we've been seriously lacking. And what will happen is like the asphalt paving, as we do like Safe Streets for All, we start prioritizing those asphalt programs. There's going to be new cells, and we'll start planning. Maybe in 27, we'll do this section as our Safe Streets for All plan has said, or ADA plan. Once the ADA plan is finalized, we might be able to say we'll break them up into projects and add that to the capital plan. So it's twofold. One, you'll see where that street capital improvement fund is going, and where the sidewalk improvement fund is going. Right. So those are 2 big things we've heard people say. Well, what happened to potholes money? What happened with our sidewalk fees? We now will have a plan that we'll start using every year towards using those funds for projects. That's it for my presentation on this, and I'm ready for any questions.
Trustee Tarno, did you have a question out of the gate?
Actually, just a thought. One of the challenges I had with scoring these things was limited knowledge about some of the projects in particular. It's really great to see the Polos Laminger scores. What would be interesting, I think maybe helpful for the board, is to see those. What are their priority rankings for projects? Just because I think for us to know what they think is most important would be very helpful, informative.
Yeah, absolutely. So I should add that, I should change that to Polos Laminger win scores, since they didn't score admin stuff. But I have our score sheet in our files, our share drive that says Stefan's do not touch, because I've got their scores in there, and then I've got my scores, and I don't want somebody to go in and try to adjust it. I can share that with you either after this meeting or first thing next week.
So what the scoring that's in that column is not a combined scoring, it's scoring based on what you work in most. Yours was admin, Nikki was public works, and Matt was the
PD.
So where we see playgrounds, Nikki gave number 33 of 380.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We didn't want to skew. So my thought was I didn't want to skew, our scoring, kind of giving it more weight towards other projects and then leave you guys in, in the dust. So that was one thing I was cognizant.
Well,
Thank you.
I had, he hit on it earlier as well. But the way it was scored too, there was some differences in scoring with, for example, vehicles, because if vehicles are on the schedule, there was discussion about how high do you score those as a requirement, given that they're scheduled to be replaced over something else. That also factors in.
I would just like to add, I'm not sure that we have all agreed on your vehicle schedule. I have to say, I rated the schedule, I did my vehicle rating based on what I thought was the most important of the vehicles, to be honest.
Okay.
Because that has not been a vote of the trustees that all, however many, I think, was it 6?
Right, and I would really caution piecemealing votes together for budget.
But I'm just saying, there's an assumption that all these vehicles are gonna be in this next budget. And I'm just saying, I don't necessarily agree with that personally. And there hasn't been, that has not been a discussion as to whether this vehicle replacement schedule has been adopted wholesale.
So maybe that's a good discussion right now then,
Yeah.
is because we're, I'm finalizing things so that we have this final draft.
But am I the only one thinking that? I don't feel like we had a discussion on the vehicles to where everybody said, great, because they were on this rating system. So I rated the vehicles. I didn't give them all top score. I rated some, like, I gave Nikki getting a new truck a high score. Because I was in her truck. And when she wants to sit, and it's terrible, it's bigger, Anyway, so I'm just throwing that out there. I actually rated the vehicles as well. I didn't just assume we're getting all 6. So I just think it should be a discussion,
Sure.
a priority in conjunction with these other capital projects that are not being grant funded that we feel like are important.
Right.
That we need to do a little budgeting. Checking the net.
So what would you want to pull those vehicles out of this list and look at them individually? How would you want to go about doing that?
Well, they're in here individually. I don't know if that's what we need to do at the moment. What I'm hearing is I just wanted to say that I don't think it's a given that all these vehicles will be in the budget. Until there's more discussion, at least from my perspective, and I don't vote. But
From
Yeah.
my perspective, I mean, it was. I gave everything a score on the list, including the individual vehicles. And I don't think that, I mean, just my take on it is that we haven't approved anything. It's been a discussion. And then as the budget comes before us, that's what we're approving, and that's part of it along with the capital improvement plan. So I don't know that I feel it needs to be broken up separately personally.
well, and then I look at it. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, the vehicle replacement schedule itself, though it seemed like a separate item, but then there was a couple of vehicles on the list. So I was kind of confused by that too.
And there's a same.
Well, a couple of them.
Yeah, I think there were 4 listed, because there's 6 on here, but 2 of them are mowers. And we didn't have to rate mowers.
But aren't some on the vehicle schedule farther in the future and not for the 2026 fiscal?
There's 4 vehicles on the 2026. There's 6 X marks, but 2 of them are mowers, which. Good ones are mowers. But so that's all. So I mean, I don't know, do we want to pull out vehicles right now? Just since I brought it up, because I think all 4 were on there, I think. 2 for PD.
Right here. Yeah, give me a second. I'm seeing it up here for us.
And then there were 2 for, I don't know what numbers they are.
Well, other list.
So there's there's 4 vehicles on the replacement schedule for 26. The first is that Chevy, that 1994 Chevy 1500, which is a mess, right?
It's
old. Yeah. Is that the manual? It is. So the manual, that's
Yeah.
it's PW CO2. I'm actually on the vehicle replacement.
I'm on the front, so we can, to me, if you wanna go look at vehicles, and again, I'm just throwing out that I don't think we've had a robust discussion about the vehicles. So if I'm the only one saying that and the rest of the trustees are good with replacing all four, I will back off.
There's 6.
Well, two of them are mowers,
Yeah, 2 of them are lawnmowers.
lawnmowers. So. But, like the Chevy 1500 is
That's
on
PW 31.
31, which is what's the number for ranking?
Oh, sorry, 36.
Okay. So, yeah, it's 24 newer 1500 place, yeah. Yeah, that's the 1500 that needs to be replaced. And then sport track
39.
39.
6.
Wait a minute, that's the, I'm not, the yard waste vehicle was not on this list.
It's just
That, number 39 on the rating, the yard waste vehicle need a truck with a dumper that can take yard waste. That was not on the schedule, correct? On the vehicle schedule. Is that right, Stefan?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so if I were to cut any for 26, it'd be that vehicle.
Yeah,
So-
it's gonna be
Yeah.
we haven't figured that out.
Ford, the Chevy Equinox for PD is on the rating, it is, I think it's 35.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It is.
Okay. We have another PD vehicle here. Is 37 one of the ones on the list? Ranked 37? Is that the Ford Sport Truck?
That's Nikki's truck.
That was an extra one, because we don't have. We don't have one.
So that's one that's not on the list.
So this isn't one that's being replaced. We're adding to the fleet.
Yeah, that's a new one, but it's not on the replace, because this is replacement. So that makes 5 vehicles that are being considered, 2 in PD and 3 in Public Works. Is that right? And then
Yes.
rank number 26 is the Crown Victoria.
Mhm.
Just want to at least get our replacement ones identified. What's missing? What's missing is the Ford Sport Track. One 2008,
That is on here as rank 36.
36.
Replace 08 Sport Track.
Oh, okay, then I was wrong.
Yeah.
Then how about, where is the Chevy 1500? This 24 newer Chevy 1500 replaced 08. Where's the one that needs to go? The 1500?
Number 17.
Thank you.
There it is.
Okay. Do we have the 2 PDs in there then?
You do. So
Okay.
you have, the Crown Vic is one of them. And then the other is the Chevy. So the PD is 26
Mhm.
and also
35.
35.
Yep.
And
So,
I see what I've done with cost.
Mhm.
I have also included the cost of outfitting, it looks like.
That's a separate.
And then done it, and then did it again. For number 29.
29.
Matt, is that right?
Yeah, cars are separate from outfitting.
Oh, okay, so the 55,000 is what it's gonna cost for a Ford Explorer? Was that with cage or without cage?
Without. 15 will put cage lights, so.
Okay.
Say that last part again, Matt?
55 is the current government, approximate government pricing for Ford Explorer.
Okay,
And then the 15,000 is rough cost from our previous outfitter to outfit vehicles with lights, cages, cameras, if necessary.
and you really have to have one, if you have one, you need the other. Get a new vehicle, you gotta outfit it. Okay,
So, and to be clear, like with PD vehicles, things like that, and some of the public works, there is going to be a heavy lift at the beginning. because then you trade them in for a trade-in value towards a new one. So you're always on this replacement schedule that we just haven't, we've never done. Instead, like what we're running right now at the PD, for example, the Ford Explorers that we have came from Olathe, who got them from Grand Junction. So Grand Junction had them, ran them hard, and then transferred them or sold them to Olathe. Olathe ran them for a few years and sold them to us. And that was, we had to do that because the cars that we did have weren't safe. They were Chevy Trackers and GMC Equinoxes with sometimes cages that worked, some cages didn't exist, and cloth seats. So one of the big things that PD has really been seeing is they're taking, if they have an OWI, DUI, and that person has an accident on the way to, the jail, it's in a cloth seat. So there were some things that were being thought of when, they were cheap at first, right? Cheap, but they weren't what PD needed to be effective.
And go ahead.
Trustee Turner.
Okay, go ahead. Trustee Tarno, go ahead.
Yeah, two things. One is I would recommend combining the vehicle and the outfitting, so we're more clear on the total cost of replacing that vehicle and putting it into service. And then in terms of, not having a robust discussion on this, I think the way I'm looking at it is, we're identifying priority of replacement. And it seems like it's going to come down to a matter of, how much are we willing and able to dip into the general fund to do this. And that's the calculus that goes into creating the final budget. Is there's a lot of different things here, and choices have to be made about what we can actually do and what we can't.
Agreed. And I'm just, so the box with total general fund includes PD with the 1.3 million. And I don't understand, what does this mean? How many of these projects were entered into the general fund, this total you have here?
It's this, so if you look, you can track it. So it says general fund cost. So those projects that
Okay,
you see those, for example, there's one that's an estimated $250,000, and that is one block of concrete work.
and what number is that?
That's second and third grand. That is number 45.
Okay,
So if you look at that, it's second and third grand of main intersection of concrete. That's what that roadway is, and it's currently patched with coal patch and some other stuff. And trying to get that into a good roadway surface. That's why that was on there. Doing things in concrete kind of makes sense because it's our truck route, but we're not an interstate, so there's other ways. But if we did it, we'd have to do the entire road section.
so your total under that box of general fund is the total of everything in that column. Okay, so that's assuming all projects are being funded this year.
No. So that's not assuming anything is funded, right? This is a capital improvement plan that what we choose from here, from this capital improvement plan to prioritize for 26, that's what will be funded. So we've created this, think of this as like the departmental scorecard for capital improvement plans that should have always existed. And we've just now created it. So if we're going to start funding things, number one, it really should be on this list, unless it's an emergency purchase, like with Doris Avenue or sewer failure or something like that. But we scored them and prioritized them by all of those different categories: criticality, failure, age, those kinds of things. Well, so think of this like this is for 5 years. It's a 5-year capital improvement plan. So don't think of this like this is, if we were to fund everything for 26, we're not asking for that.
But that's what this number reflects.
That number reflects all of the projects for the general fund that currently don't have debt funding or
Right.
grants.
Right, because you have that in parentheses.
Correct.
You have taken into consideration the, 3.2 million.
And, oh gosh,
You've subtracted, well, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense, because you have subtracted the money that we have, the 2.925 is what we have for 50 grand.
correct.
So, and hang on, Karen, I'll call you in a second. So what I want to understand is what are in these tables? So you have added up everything in the general fund column. And that's the 4.210.
Mhm.
Okay, minus what we know we're getting in grants, and that number left, and that's what I was asking before. That is saying if we were to fund everything that's on this list in the general fund, it would cost us 1.3 million.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to
I
get,
see where you're going.
because we still, and we're not, we're not.
Right, right.
We have to prioritize within these fund categories.
Correct.
Okay,
And so you should also remember that this is, calling it the general fund it's not our fund balance in the general fund, but this is one of the major components of the general fund, the sales tax capital improvement fund, which is funded by that 1% sales tax. And that has this rather large fund balance. That's what that general fund is.
but it also has some of the 2% in it as well. Is any of the 2% taxes included in this? In that fund balance you have there, your difference?
I don't have a fund.
Well, in your required general fund cash, does that also include some of the revenue you get from the 2%?
This is no, there's
It's
no
only
revenue,
1%.
there's no revenue considered in this capital.
We have fund balance. We have general fund balance and we have the capital fund balance.
Correct.
So we do have fund balance that we can start looking at,
Mhm.
but that's not what this number is. This is
No.
just what it would cost us if we were to do all these projects.
That's,
So we have-
this is just expenditures.
Okay.
Right?
All right, trustee Torno?
I was wondering if it would make sense in this general fund cost column to break that out. So we actually have, it's sort of in two columns. One is what is the actual cost to the town out of our general fund, and what is the portion of the total cost that's covered by grants or debt financing.
Isn't that already in that?
Yeah.
That's in the parentheses.
And it's also.
No. I mean by item.
There are only two items in here. One, so correct me if I'm wrong. The only general fund that has grant associated with it is Fifth and Grand, which is number 11. Correct?
Okay. So the grant covers 2.9 and the town has to use its own resources to cover the rest of that cost up to 3.2 mil.
Yeah.
Is that
So-
correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that helps me. I didn't realize that was the only one.
Yeah, and in that category, that's the only one. Now, when you get to water, that's a little different, isn't it? Do you have the water? Yeah, that's quite.
So
Yeah.
trustee Pardo, what you were talking about is when the final draft of this capital improvement plan is compiled into our budget, this is what it'll look like. So what's on the screen right now, where it shows the sources of funding. I needed to be able to prioritize those projects. That's why we scored them. And then we'll start looking at this sheet here for those sources of funding. So I want to find a good one. So like backup generators, town hall, wastewater treatment ponds, and the water treatment plant on the screen that we're looking at right now. I don't know how it was prioritized, but there could be with that one. Here it's PW 13. There could be a FEMA grant that we receive that covers 80% of that cost. So that's how we would build we would, this capital improvement plan gets built. We haven't gone for that funding yet, but it is something that we could go for. In order for FEMA to take it, it has to be not only in the county, so on their hazard mitigation plan, which it is, we put that in the county's HMP, but it also has to be in our capital improvement plan. So that's why you see it on this document. So a lot of these things could be grant funded, but we haven't applied for a grant yet because we have to build a capital improvement plan first. We've been going after all these grant funding sources and kind of putting that cart before the horse, except for in water, where we have the water CIP phase 1. We've already done that work. We've already said this is our priority projects. We have, we're saying we want to do a tank relining, we want to fix the Western Loop, and we want to add some raw water metering at our spring complexes. That's our that's our capital improvement plan. Now, between those 3 projects, it's $10 million, right? So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of money. What we're doing here is we're prioritizing those projects so that we can go after supplemental funding. And there are some that we'll have to pay for out of fund balance if we want to. There aren't any grants to like the roof. It's maintenance that we have to do, right?
And
Well, so by the time we get through this priority, some of these things will fall off the list for this year. So I understand.
100%. But there is I know they weren't scored very high, but there is a serious need for vehicles, and I know that getting it's not that there's this shiny new vehicle. It's that it's a tool that our officers use. It's how our public works department gets to water breaks, sewer line, those kinds of things. The truck for our director is what she's driving right now. It's overkill for going back and forth. She needs something small. And Trustee Tarno also has to.
yeah, I know. I just want to make sure everybody else that wants to speak, because she and I have had plenty of time to talk. I want to make sure everybody else has a chance. Everybody good for now? Okay, Trustee Tarno, go ahead.
I was just going to suggest on those types of items like that you mentioned that potentially could be covered by FEMA, perhaps put in the comments here that this is contingent upon FEMA funding or something like that. So it's just more transparent to us.
Yeah, so what I can, that makes absolute sense. So what I can do is rather than give them the shade of green that's on the sheet, maybe another shade, and I'll explain that like a key that there is grant funding available or debt financing available, and we'll just highlight those columns. Like the wastewater pond relining, we can go after a state revolving fund, low interest loan, which would be another funding mechanism.
Or even on that other spreadsheet that you just had posted, put it in the comments there.
Sure.
Perhaps.
Which spreadsheet? So we have this in front of us now. We only have our next meeting is the budget adoption meeting. Unless we're having a workshop between now and then, and I don't see that. We haven't talked about it. I don't know that we need it, but I am really confused. Because I don't know, unless you're planning on the meeting on the 12th, that we start actually identifying what we want to put in the budget. Do you want to start getting more, because the ranking so we have a ranking. I don't know what your intention is with the ranking.
My intention is to see what your priorities are to build that capital plan for 26.
Is that through discussion tonight?
No. So unless you want it to be, I needed to get input from you so that I could start prioritizing that, our capital improvement, so that I could put it into a fiscal year 26 budget. What we did for fiscal year 25, we had we did the boards. We started talking about those things, built that strategic plan, and as long as those things aligned with the strategic plan, they made it in the budget. This year, we're doing a little bit more. I asked for more prioritization out of you, so I had a better idea of what you were thinking to put into that budget. If you'd like, if you want to see like maybe I don't know, maybe like a plein air budget workshop, you can see me working to build that capital improvement plan. And put that into the fiscal year 26 budget. But I think it's a lot of manual work to do it, based on the feedback that I've already received from you. So I guess it's really up to you how you want to do it.
Well,
But
you know, we're just seeing this tonight. So, you know, I,
you've seen the cumulative scores, but we've had other
no,
workshops.
no, I mean, this ranking.
Okay.
We're only seeing the ranking now. I mean, we all got to rank the projects. And I agree with trustee Torno. Some of them I didn't even rate them because I didn't even know what they were. Because it hadn't been, you know, this was something that came up that wasn't a discussion. So some stuff I knew about just because I'm in the office. And I'm sure there might be other trustees who weren't quite certain what something meant necessarily. So we're seeing this now, and I'm saying it's a good tool, but I just am wondering if do you need any, like, do you want to know why I ranked something 0? You know,
I have your notes, so I didn't necessarily put your individual notes out for everyone.
Mhm.
I can if you'd like that.
Well, so in some ways, we were a little bit in a vacuum in our individual rankings. You know, I felt like I had maybe a little bit more insight than others might have. But I knew what things could maybe get budgeted, could get grant funding that others may not have known. So I think this is sort of a general thing, you know, that here's the other thing. Last year, we weren't trying to do this many projects either. You know, we didn't have this long list of capital projects that I remember. I don't remember there being that many.
Few.
So this is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a lot. A
So
lot more than I remember. I mean, we had vehicles and so I just am not sure. Based on this, what do you want to bring to us on the whatever day our next meeting is?
our next meeting is the 9th. I want to bring you a final budget, something with a capital improvement plan
Okay,
that I'm using these as resources to help prioritize those projects, and make sure that they're funded. So what you'll see is you'll see the scoring sheet as like an appendix to the capital improvement plan. The capital improvement plan will itself be this. This worksheet right here. This. So now that I have them prioritized, I can put them in this spreadsheet right here. It goes from 26 to 2029. So you'll see which projects are planned for next year, which projects have a high score and will be prioritized first for 27, 28, and 29. So that's what you'll see in that capital improvement.
okay, that is really helpful.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and if you remember, this was the full spreadsheet that you had, I had given this to you with originally, and then we've been working on it ever since.
Yeah,
So
because
that's what
we did that.
it was part of that.
And
That is that tab right there.
right, so you are going to, hang on one second, I'm gonna give you, hang on, trustee Torno, let me, so what you just said is really helpful.
Okay.
Because when I was doing this, and you have the years, for the vehicle schedule, that is pretty nicely scheduled out. But I see you have the fiscal year here, but it wasn't clear to me what our ratings were gonna do versus what you were gonna look at, and you are going to, because of your knowledge, you're gonna decide what we should put in our capital improvement plan for 2 years from now. Some of these, because.
Well, for 5 years.
No, but you're gonna choose. Are you saying you're gonna fill in, well, no, this is a replacement schedule. Oh, never mind. The only thing you've done out to the future is the vehicle replacement schedule, but you are gonna do that with other projects. Okay,
So number, on this capital improvement plan, they're not ranked, right? They're just by year for funding. So what you've been doing is you've been doing the work that I've needed to be able to put it into the capital improvement. So that prioritization, what you guys think are important, that's what I needed to be able to build this and put it by year. So you've assigned it this raw value, the score, based on weights, and that's helping me to prioritize things for subsequent years. When it goes into the actual capital improvement plan, the thing that's saying, this is what makes up those capital outlay lines for each department. It'll be this document that you see, and it'll be by year. So it'll be 26, it's funded this much, 27, 28.
So you'd like a target for our general fund cash required for this year then? Like how far we want you to get that down? In through the priority list, or exactly what are we being asked to decide tonight? Percentage down?
Nothing. So you're not being asked to decide anything. This was to present your cumulative values so you could have that discussion that we're having. But looking at what those values were and how they were ranked.
Anyone else? Trustee Tarno, go ahead.
I think I was thinking along the same lines as Trustee Check. I personally, I see our board input as kind of considerations, but I really rely on the administrator and the department heads to know what's going to be most important. What is most important to me, I think, and is an important board item for the board to have input on is the extent to which we are dipping into exhausting, so to speak, the general fund. And I'm hoping that, I know it's going to be you can't project out really in a real solid way 5 years, but I think we need to be tracking and looking at, what are we thinking we're going to be doing these next few years? How is that affecting our fund balance? And is that a safe level to go to or not? So maybe on the 9th or with the final budget, if we as a board feel uncomfortable with the amount that we're burning into that fund balance, that would be an opportunity to say, we want a few projects taken off the list or something because we're not comfortable with that much right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's kind of why I'm asking what you expect from us at our next meeting. Once you present us your capital improvement and the money associated with it, if there is a collective discomfort with how much fund balance we're having to go into, then there's a discussion of the priorities to some extent, if sure to be the case.
Yeah, and I think you'll see, so I wanted to total all of those up so you could see what it would look like over 5 years, right? And, this is what you get presented every month. It's our running fund balance total. Sales tax capital improvement fund currently has a fund balance of $995,000. And that's specifically for capital outlays, like vehicles, like equipment, like tools, like putting oil filters on a shelf. Those inventory, getting inventory, things that we haven't done in a long time is actually have a running inventory. So what you'll see with that capital improvement plan is, it'll dip into some of that fund balance. You've also got to remember that we're also covering some of our capital outlays with the revenue that's coming in for that fiscal year. So
that's what you have to show us.
That's the show. Yeah, that's what you'll see is that there is significant revenue that comes in. It's going to be close to $250,000, and that's going to cover some of the cost of that capital outlay. Can't be used for anything else. You can't use it for operating expenses. Can't use it for personnel. It has to be used for what's considered a capital outlay. And then we're going to take, the plan is we will take into some of that fund balance because it's sitting there isn't doing us good. It's not being used for its intended purpose. And so we'll dip into that to help us to get on target with some of the things that we need to do for future years, such as vehicle purchases, such as getting tools. You know, you, over the last several years, 4 or 5 years, you've made the decision to buy tools for employees instead of having them bring their tools to work. So that's kind of what we're continuing on, right?
And trustee Tarno?
No, still.
Oh, it's Rick, sorry. Go ahead, trustee Stelter.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd like to make a suggestion that we have a work session to hash all this out before we finally approve the budget session or the budget process.
Season.
I defer to all of you. Hold that thought. And I just wanted to say one more thing, which is, it's really for an affirmation for me to make sure I understand. But when we have fund balance, all the obligations that we have to Tabor, to all of our bonds we have to pay, all of our debt, our percentage we have of our general fund, we have to keep set aside. All that money that has to be set aside by law is not included in fund balance.
That is correct.
It is all there. So I just want everybody to understand, we're not hurting ourselves
Right.
in terms of what we legally have to have set aside.
So there's 2 different types of fund balance. There's restricted or assigned fund balance, and then there's the stuff that we're talking about, unassigned, unrestricted fund balance, meant to go towards any legal purpose, you know, to spend on. The amount that you saw, that $900,000+ in sales tax capital improvement, that is unassigned, unrestricted, meaning it's not being used for its intended purpose. Its intended purpose isn't just to sit there. It's meant to do projects like concreting, fixing the road from on Second between Grand and Main. It's meant to do those things.
I just want to make sure everybody understood that, and the public too, or anybody listening. One second. Go ahead.
Just have a question. So if we are to schedule a work session, are you gonna be like down to the wire? When are you gonna have, when would it make the most sense? Would that be the same day as the meeting on the 9th and do it beforehand, or?
So, not to dog anybody, but I only just got all of these scores like yesterday from everyone. So it didn't give me a lot, and the reason I protected those cells was so that things didn't get mixed around, and they did. So I spent several hours putting this cumulative score together today, trying to get it done. And I say that to say, it takes time to build those things. The good news, the worksheet's already built. So I think if you had it late next week, that would be ideal. I'm planning to take the rest of this week off after tonight. So I've got turkeys to brine and small.
And so with that, so if we were to have a work session, what do you all want to have at that work session that we don't already have? Is there more information? And I'm going to pass this over to trustee Stelter, and then we have a hand up in the audience. And I know that we don't normally take public comment at this point, but I would like to.
You haven't taken it yet.
No, and this, this is still kind of under your report, but I think it's still worthy. So if you'll hold on one second, trustee Stelter, are you looking for other information for the work session, or would you like to talk about what we have in front of us more? No, but I'm asking trustee Stelter. Hang on, Karen.
Yes.
Yo, yes, mother. Sorry. Do you feel like you need more information than what we have in front of us for the work session? Or would you like to just have more in-depth discussion at the work session with what we have?
I think doing it at the work session would be the practical solution. It seems like we need to collate some information first, and then we can have a discussion. And I suggest that we give Administrator Wynn some time to, if there are amendments, to fix it, that we not do it the same day.
Yeah, so can I tell you what I would present? Let's say let's say you chose the fifth. So next Friday, as the time for a workshop. What you would see is an actual draft of our budget. So not all of the pieces that you've been seeing, not just the worksheets, but what that draft would look like. It's a little over 111 pages. And it's broken down because we really give descriptions for the public on like what the tank relining looks like, what Fifth and Grand looks like, how it's funded, what our obligations are, for grant funding, things like that. So it also gives us, remember, we talked about personnel a month and a half ago, right? So it talks about any additions to personnel by department through a cover sheet. And then it has, I'll just show you. So I'm describing it, but give me 1 second.
All right, trustee Tarno, do you want to have your thought while he's?
Yes. I think our objective on December 9th is to approve a budget. And I think we have a time certain we need to do that. And we have one meeting in December. So the work session does make sense to me, and late next week makes sense to me. And that would be a time for the trustees to ask questions, to weigh in if we have any general fund balance concerns, but basically to get to a place where we understand it enough, have provided pertinent feedback that the administrator can work into the budget. So what he brings Tuesday is something that we've had some time to digest and can feel comfortable doing what we need to do at that meeting, which is approve a final budget, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. And if you'd like to come up, nice to hear from a public person.
I have two questions. One of them.
Can you give us your name and whether you live in town or not?
So I live in town, I live on Second Street. My name is Ethel Short. So you've mentioned several times regarding the repaving, and you've used the word concrete. Is that what you're going to, that section between Grand and Main, is that what you're looking at to repair that or to repave that, is concrete?
So that's what it currently is right now. If you look out here, it's
Well, I
concrete.
walk it up.
Yeah, and so that's one of them that got put into the capital improvement plan. I don't think it's gonna be funded next year. There's just no way. It's probably something that's more realistically 28. Because we've got major construction going on Fifth and Grand, and we're in the middle of prioritizing streets that need to be paved. Road projects with Safe Streets for All Grand, which is one of the consultants that will be chosen tonight, later on today. So that's probably going to take about a year. And I wouldn't say that things would be we wouldn't have a plan until late 27, late 26 or late 27.
Because concrete's really expensive.
It sure is.
My second question is more like almost a request. There's a company, and it's a British company, that's called MacGruber Limited. And they're out of Great Britain, but they're setting up different offices here around the United States. And what they do is they pave roads and they use recycled plastic to do it. And I would request that you look into them and to see, because they're trying to establish a presence in the United States. And from the information that I have been gathering, their roads last longer, more durable, and they take a product out of, which is plastic, out of, and make it, and reuse it. And it's MacGruber, MacRebur Limited.
She's writing it down. So,
And I have no interest in the company. I don't own stock or anything like that. I just thought it was really interesting to see if maybe we could get a grant as an experiment. I mean, that's just a suggestion. Okay, all right.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is what you'll see, what's on the screen for that workshop. So this is my department. This is this year's budget. some of the changes that were made. You'll see the major goals and then you'll also see the charts and everything. But you'll see these are the worksheets that you've previously seen. This is what we call our budget and brief, is when you only see that schedule for each department. It's the budget and brief. And then there's like the capital improvement plan that's attached to a strategic plan. But this is what you'll see, is this whole package. Yeah.
Do you feel like you could put, even as a draft? I mean, we can't get it the afternoon of the 5th. I'm saying we need it a little bit ahead so we actually could look at it and not come in here asking all the questions I was asking. So is it reasonable that you could get that to us on Wednesday? If we had a meeting on the 5th?
Yeah, like 6 o'clock.
But do people think, is that good? I mean, I'd love to see it, but I need a little time to look at it. Do you want to schedule a work session?
My request would be that it's as early as possible and definitely during business hours. We're doing it on a Friday, please.
Or holidays, isn't it?
You know what? I got a question.
Please,
know,
go ahead.
It's like it's broken down too much. A lot of this could just be lumped together. Set a budget, like the police department, just have a set budget, let them decide how to spend the money. Can you do that, something like that? And you can keep it inside, you can set up a parameter, you can only spend on this, without going into the details. Can that be done that way? What do you mean? Okay, so the police department is the police department. You just give them a set amount and say, you prioritize what you need and just go do it. That's what we do with this document here. So that worksheet, that's part of the budget. We do that. We say, here are the funds, and it's broken up. This is for personnel services, operating and capital outlay. What we've been really working towards is, well, what makes up capital outlay? We know what makes up personnel. We've already talked about that. It was like wages, benefits, things like that. And we've moved past that one from a previous meeting. We've talked about operating in a previous workshop as well. What we're doing now is this third piece, the capital outlay. So maybe seeing how this was laid out might help you see my thought process as well.
If I understand what you're saying, Trustee Heck, is you don't want the budget to show they're gonna be getting a truck and.
It's nitpicking, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff here I don't know anything about. I'd rather leave it to them to prioritize how the money's spent.
And I do not agree.
You do not?
I do not agree. I think in terms of public money being spent, the more transparent we are, so people know what we're getting and why we're getting
Well, I
it.
have them for a little report. Probably shoot me for that.
Well, that's, to me, that's the beauty of the budget document we had last year.
Yeah.
It did say everything we're spending money on, which I think is really important important to me. So I know where money is going, and I think it's important for the public to see exactly what the town is gonna buy. And not just a lump.
Okay.
For me, that's what is the transparency I think we have to do with public money. Not that I don't trust our department heads, but I think that's not our fiduciary. We're not doing our fiduciary duty.
We're giving them a budget.
But we're not doing we are fiduciaries for the town of Paonia's public money, and I think it's important the public see exactly where it's going.
We give them a budget and let them tell us what they're gonna spend it on.
Well, that's kind of what they've done.
No,
Except,
it's requests, their own requests.
yes,
And
that's,
something might get kicked out.
and that's because we're the fiduciaries for the town of Paonia. It's a really.
Okay, I mean, I just have
I know, and it makes,
more free range.
well, it takes more time to do it this way, but that's kind of what we signed up for. I have to say,
Okay.
I always sound flippant, but we are the custodians of the money, and I think the public needs to see that we're gonna get 2 trucks. They're
I
two
agree
with-
with you, Mayor. Agreed, Mayor. I agree with you.
That's, yeah, it's not easy.
Okay, yeah, I just threw it out.
I know, it's
I
fine.
was making it easy. Appreciate that.
Okay, so back to
Consider this room available on Friday, December 5th.
It is wide open.
Does anybody have any scheduling constraints?
disbursements.
I'm wide open and the earlier the better for me.
What time?
I will have,
We don't have any.
I mean, we'll have to do if, or Thursday afternoon, but we have disbursements that need to get done between Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon. Because the packet has to go out. That's the only thing. And
I was gonna say, and you might you might schedule a little bit of extra time because you'll probably have a new person for disbursements this.
There's no names. So.
We have a lot of people starting on Monday.
well, no, we were, and there is potentially a new trustee on the finance committee. For the first time. So that's the only time thing I have.
4:30?
Well,
Yeah,
for Thursday, they do have municipal court starting at 3 p.m. So 1 o'clock.
Why not?
You have to do something before that time because sometimes they're really short, sometimes they're longer. So
and tell me what's happening Thursday, say it again.
municipal court.
Oh, so we, and mostly I'm just talking about disbursements. That we've been doing them Friday morning.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry, I thought we were still talking about
Sorry.
work session.
Sorry. So with Friday, the earlier the better for you.
That's my preference. It's just a preference because I like to cut out early on Fridays.
We need a
That works well for me,
show of hands.
earlier on Friday.
Friday, what time?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
That works great for me.
1 o'clock Friday.
I can do it.
Agreed.
Okay,
I can do it.
which means, so Stefan, are you gonna be good with getting the packet published? Maybe it'll have to wait until Saturday or Sunday. You know, to get it, because if we're meeting Friday and the packet has to go out Friday afternoon, which may not, but if it went out Saturday, do you feel like you can do a packet publication? If we meet 1 o'clock on Friday?
Yeah, just read the rest of this week. Be able to hit it.
Yeah, make some
Next week, this week.
time out, yeah. Okay, and I'm just asking because I know it's always a crunch. And I mean, we can reduce our stress as much as possible, but I'm good with Friday at 1 o'clock, so work session Friday at 1? Do we need a motion? Can we just do it?
I moved to schedule a budget work session on Friday, December 5th at 1 p.m.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rick, trustee Selter, how are you on that?
I'm good.
Okay. I take that as an aye, we got it. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay. So, moving right along, we are going to go into, oh no, we did the scorecard. And we're gonna go into executive session. And if someone could make a motion to go into executive session, and it has to read exactly like you're good.
I move that we go into executive session for discussion.
Hang on 1 second, I'm sorry. Let me do an intro.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. So, our administrator gets reviewed annually, and this is, the trustees have all done the review, and we are gonna go into executive session to, review a compilation of each of our individual appraisals. We don't see each other's appraisals. These all went to our town attorney who did a compilation. We're gonna review the compilation and administrators wins individual development plan for 24-25. And then we're going to look at the one he has proposed for 25-26. And we will be doing that session. And when I come out, I will give the average scores from the compilation to the public. Yes. Yes. Go ahead, trustee Tarno.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to ask, Administrator, when you said we need to go into the breakout room, those of us on Zoom, how do we do that?
There'll be a box that pops up as soon as they open that room up, and then you just have to click on it.
Okay, thank you.
You will.
All right. Sorry, now, thank you, if you'll make a motion.
I move that we go into executive session for discussion of a personnel matter under CRS section 24-6 402 part 2F. And not involving any specific employees who have requested discussion on the matter in open session. Any member of this body or any elected official, the appointment of any person to fill an office of this body or an elected official. Or personnel policies that do not require the discussion of matters. Personal to particular employees for town administrator Stefan Wynn's annual evaluation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We will see you on the big screen.
You can see the big screen.
Uh-oh.
I was fall off the ladder twice.
But, yeah.
You. What's that?
We're recording it.
Oh, here,
Yes.
that's okay. Autumn sending me pictures of our new nutcracker. I saw them. Very nice.
Yeah. She's looking at it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Are you kidding me? She made me go to Boann Rose this weekend. And she can probably hear me, can't she?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Michael, so what do I guess? No. I know, my Michael sounds like.
All right. Time is now 8:24 PM and the executive session has been concluded. And the participants, we're gonna do it from memory, okay. Participants in the executive session were trustees Tarno, Stelter, Heck, Hunter, and Check, Administrator Wynn, Clerk Better, and our town attorney Buckner. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Any concerns? Okay, seeing none. What I wanted to do is this, we want to do an executive session to go over the performance appraisal that we did for Administrator Wynn at his 2025 annual performance evaluation. And what we were provided by our attorney was an average rating for each of the 7 criteria and then an overall rate. So I just wanted to read those for the public and into the public record. So the first criteria, and before I continue, there was rating is 4, 3, 2, and 1. 4 is exceptional, 3 is outstanding, 2 is satisfactory, and 1 needs improvement. So the average of all of the trustees' rating on each one of the 7 categories is as follows. Elected body relationships, the average was 3.7. Organizational and supervisory skills, the average is 3.4. Community relations, the average is 3.1. Fiscal performance, the average is 3.8. Intergovernmental agency and association relationships was 3. Communication, 3.4. Personal, 3.9. And the overall performance rating is 3.5, which would be exceptional and kind of between exceptional and outstanding. So as you can see, we're very pleased with the performance of Administrator Wynn. Thank you all very much, and we'll move on to the next agenda item. Which, if I could find my, there we go. Okay.
Was that for public comment? Was there a public comment period on?
No.
Okay.
Okay, that's. So our first is consideration of appointment to the planning commission. So.
You want me to hand? Well,
Please, Spencer.
okay. There's only one application, right? It was.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited about this application because she's got a MERP, which is a Master of Urban and Regional Planning. Really sought after degree for planners and planning commission. It makes sense. I feel like that's somebody who, or she's somebody who could assist with staff report, making sure that the content of staff reports, fits into what is needed to make a decision by the planning commission. So really excited to see that this application came through. And it's Margaret Doherty.
Yeah. I agree. Same. So excited to have her, pleased to have her apply. And I will just say, I welcome her to the planning commission. And trustee Vetter, if you will get, clerk Vetter, I only met it once so far. Other meetings I did at least 2 in, I got 1 more to go, so. Better if you'll reach out to her and get her set up since we have a meeting on the 1st. That'd be great to get her on board and I know she probably I know she was here initially, wasn't she? Was she in the room? Oh. She? I'm not sure. Okay. Anyway, Margaret, if you're listening, we are thrilled to have you and look forward to working with you. Thank you very much. So the next one is consideration of membership on Board of Trustee committees. Oh. So. These are choices you all make. But I wanted to give a rundown in the report as to what committees need people to volunteer and what committees are open. And I'm just going to start it out with, in full disclosure, I contacted Trustee Check to see if he'd be interested in being on the finance committee. And I had several reasons for that. And the first one, and I see your hand up, Trustee Tarno, and I'll get you next, is that I know that Trustee Check has been interested and had questions about the budget, just in general. And I just thought that, first of all, I'd enjoy working with him on the committee and doing disbursements. But I tried to make it sound enticing, because when you see the invoices and we see accounts, that you really get a good feel for what's going on behind the scenes in the town. And so that doesn't mean someone else cannot put their name in there, but I did preemptively do that because I thought this might be something that Trustee Check would enjoy. So I will let him talk and then I'll turn it over to you, Trustee Tarno.
Yeah, I figured I would be on one committee or another. And at first I thought, which one don't I want to be on? And I thought instead I ought to be positive, say which one would I rather be on? And this is it. So I guess I'm volunteering for the finance committee.
Thank you. And Trustee Tarno, I know you had some information you wanted to share.
Yeah, well, first of all, I support Trustee Check joining the finance committee. Thank you. I would really like to do my part and help out here. However, between now and the end of my term, I'm actually going to be out of town a fair bit, most of December, a couple weeks in February, and a couple weeks in April. My schedule is such that I expect to be able to Zoom into the meetings, our board meetings, but I don't think that would serve or allow me to be successful at being on the STR committee, particularly as chair. If there's another way I can help out, I'd be happy to. And I also just wanted to say that, we are hoping to have a new board member at our next meeting. And I wonder if you might want to postpone any decision making until that, so we have opportunity for perhaps, another person to show interest. And that person is on a 2+ year term, I believe.
Bev, can you say yes or no to that?
Yeah, I can. No, whoever you guys appoint to the empty trustee seat will only hold it until April of 26, because there will be an election. And at this time, if I remember correctly, we have when we go to the ballot, we're going to have 2 4-year terms available and 3 2-year terms available, just to keep our terms going. So whoever our next person will be will only be there till April, unless of course they run for election, which we would love. So let's try.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, yes, Trustee Hunter.
So I had previously volunteered to be on the STR committee. Because I realize how important it is. I'd like to be involved with that. But I don't feel equipped to be the chair, and I'm so sad that we don't have Kathy because she was so perfectly suited to that role. And I wonder if it wouldn't make sense, kind of piggybacking on what trustee Tarno said, is maybe if we appoint everything but the STR and see what any new candidates, if they are more well suited. I would be on it, but I don't feel like I would excel at many of those meetings. And it needs to be done well. It's important.
Yeah.
And I hope folks saw that there's only been one meeting, correct? Two, and I only had the meeting minutes from September. Is that it?
The most recent.
That was the most recent one, okay, because I thought that was pretty telling what, what some of the ground rules were and how to move forward.
So again, I've thrown my hat in the ring before. I will do it again, but I don't think I'm the best suited. So I'm really, really hoping that whoever else gets appointed may be. That being said, if I don't end up being on the STR committee, I'd be happy to be on the Parks Committee.
And if you do end up being an STR, I'd be happy to be on Parks Committee.
So I think that you don't have to fill all of those committee seats today, but I really, really like the finance committee, volunteers, so I like that. And I think it might be prudent to wait to see who ends up, in this trustee seat for the STR.
Look better. I'm not wanting to weigh in on the other committee things, but really would like you to make trustee checks volunteering. Because we can add him to the authorized signatories resolution that we're gonna do later today. That involves going to the bank. He's gonna be a signer. He's gonna have stuff like that. It's a lot to pick up.
It is a lot of fun.
And as we've learned, when we get low, there's a reason that there's 5 of us that can sign, because it's really easy for us to get into a position if we have an emergency, have a hard time making sure we can get 2 signatures on a check. So just please.
Do you want to just do a motion for the finance committee and we will continue this at the next meeting? Is that the right word? We will table to the next meeting. It has to be by, I think the trustees have to vote.
I move to appoint trustee Check to the finance committee and table the other appointments to the next meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah. I'm only there next week.
Oh, consideration of the resolution 27/2025 for the authorized signatures.
If you could just, whoever makes the motion, please include in your motion to add Walter Check to number 3 as the finance committee member, please. Because everybody's good.
And I'll add to that, and I'll also ask you to amend the resolution number at the top.
Right.
To reflect 27/2025 instead of 2023-04.
Yeah, please.
Hold on, I'm not even at the right page yet. Bear with me.
That is page 45 of 908.
So the resolution number in the packet is the wrong resolution number. It needs to be 27/2025. Okay. And we'll have a different attorney sign it. Do we even have?
I don't even know to be changed.
Okay,
Oh,
that's come up.
that was a long time.
I make a motion to approve resolution 27/2025.
with the following amendments.
With the following amendments, that the resolution number be corrected and add trustee Check's name as number 3.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. Is that right? Okay, so our next item of business is RFQ 2025-06 Water Smart Grant Consultant Decision. Administrator Wynn? Or is this yours?
Yeah, I'll take it. I do want to make sure that we have time for like public comment for these two because they are big decisions. RFQ 2025-06 was postponed through an addendum until the hydrogeological study was completed, so that all participating consulting firms or potential proposals could see what was in that hydrogeological study and consider it for their proposal. We scored it. There were 3 of us that scored it on the scoring committee. That was myself, Nikki, our public works director, and then our utility supervisor, lead utility operator, Jordan Redden. He also scored it. And we took the cumulative scores or the average scores and presented those. Our number 1 scoring firm was Wright Water Engineers. They essentially had a 92% if we were to give them, a grade. Our number 2 firm was Respec or BBA. That's where our hydrologist from Wright Water went to. He went to BBA. Marshall Hayworth was there. They received an 80%. And then the number 3 was Roaring Fork Engineers with 75%. So our recommendation is that you move forward with Wright Water Engineers. The reason this packet is so large is because I included, for the 2 RFQs, we had one that got tabled to tonight. I included all of the proposals that came in, all of our scoring sheets that we received, and then all of the original RFQ and all of the addendums that were also sent as part of that process. We continue to get in really highly qualified firms and a volume of firms that I don't think we've seen in quite some time for Paonia, who are interested in doing work with us. Like I said, we had really, really good firms, but ultimately, looking at those scores, scored independently. Our scoring committee didn't meet, confer to do any sort of scoring. It was done independently, and then those scores were compiled. I'm really impressed with the quality of the firms that we're receiving. We just don't have projects roll around. So that being said, I should also say that the other firms that presented were Moore Engineering, NRCE, Maverick Solutions, and Swift Water Solutions. So there were 7 total firms for this Water Smart grant to help us with meeting what we consider phase 2 of that hydrogeological study, as funded through USBR with the Water Smart.
Comments?
It took a long time, so.
Trustee Tarno, go ahead.
Yeah, I am happy to support this award. I do have one comment / thought as I was reading through it. I think for obvious reasons, Wright Water Engineers really understands the complexity and challenges with understanding our water system, and has some very good engineering and hydrogeological minds to further study, and if funding's available for instrumentation and data collection, et cetera, to collect more data on this. In general, this is an instance where I'm a little concerned about the perfect being the enemy of the good. I would like to see some fairly hands-on management or collaboration with the WWE team to make sure we're hitting a good balance of what did they say, empirical data and having an empirical data-driven approach, that we're approaching that in something that's realistic for affordability and just the challenges of fully understanding our system, and while at the same time figuring out what's going to be sufficient for the town to go forward with to make decisions. Nobody is ever going to fully grok our spring system and such. So I don't know, Administrator Nguyen or if the Public Works Director is still there, if you have any thoughts or anything to share about that.
They're pretty easy work in that thing.
Yeah, so with the hydrogeological study, that first piece, when they were in the field taking data, our team was with them every step of the way. Did they stay camping with them, or did they just come every morning?
No, they stayed here, but they also like
I'm
went.
talking our team. Did they camp with them?
No.
Because they were close by.
Yeah, but even Jonathan kind of went over that of like realistically, this is happening, but. Kind of thing, like that sort of like what is physically there as to what is legally there, all of those things. So yeah, they've already kind of have a grasp on it, if that's kind of where you're going.
Well, and I think it's in general project management, just, it can be a tendency for scientists to really dive wholeheartedly into the science and really understandably want to have, sufficient empirical measured data to base decisions on. And I just don't anticipate that in our system that any scientist might be able to get to the level of comfort with data that they would like to have to make recommendations and such. And so it's not hand-holding in the field, it's hand-holding as, they're talking about, okay, we're going to do, put this new instrument in, we want to do these more measurements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like this could go on forever and spiral into more data collection, and without getting us to some, recommendations or choices or options to help us make decisions about moving forward. I hope that's understandable.
I know where you're going. It makes sense. So scope creep is a real thing. And I think as we execute, if we go, whichever firm you choose, we'll make sure that there's a very good agreement in place with specific milestones to meet. And we'll be sure to communicate with them that you're not going to be able to collect all the data. You're not going to have a 99% confidence level. It's just not going to happen. And what we're comfortable with. So that makes sense. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Others?
Scope creep's real bad. So.
Well, I just had an observation, so I was really surprised to see that respect is going to be pretty much the respect proposal was then nested under the Brightwater engineers.
They're considered a sub-consultant.
So here's my concern. Is it going to be obvious who should be doing what, and that it's very prescriptive?
Yeah, so
who is in charge and who is going to be assigned what, and how are we going to keep that all wound together?
yeah, so we'll work with Brightwater to create that master services agreement specifically for this project. This will result in a single audit. So, once this project's done, we will have a single audit that will be specific to track those dollars from the feds for this project. So we'll have to define that, who's working on what in that master services agreement. We're not going to have a separate agreement with RESPEC. It's just with Jonathan at Right Water. And the pieces that RESPEC will be responsible for, will ask that those are spelled out in that MSA. Yeah, and just so everybody's aware, RESPEC was a sub-consultant for two firms, which isn't unheard of. In the next RFQ, you'll see that there was one local firm that I think was two or three. So three? Yeah, so, was a sub-consultant for like three different firms as well. So that's kind of typical. You'll see that when we get into construction, we might have, a site work guy that, is listed as a subcontractor for multiple different firms when we go to construction for 50 grand. So,
And I think it's great that all the minds that understand our water system are all gonna be in one place. I think it's great. It just seemed like, wow.
So from my perspective, the reason Right Water scored so highly was because, there were some firms that presented where they wanted to redo the hydrogeological study, and that's, that to me, that scored pretty low. Right Water really spelled out what our next steps are with this Water Smart grant and what we're trying to get to. So it really felt like reading it that they are prepared to go on to what I would consider phase 2 of this, really identifying the springs that need to be worked and identifying what specifically needs to be done to them. That's the next part of this, the hydro study that Water Smart's going to come.
I'm gonna ask if anybody in the audience has a comment to make on this RFQ. Okay, and anyone on, no hands? Okay. So with that, if the trustees are comfortable, would somebody like to make a motion to go with the recommended firm? So,
Sure, I'll move that, authorize the town administrator to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with Right Water Engineering for the Water Smart Planning Consulting Services under RFQ 25-6 as the highest scoring and most qualified firm.
That piece is really important for the USBR.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Stelter, are you a thumbs up? Did we lose Trustee Stelter? I know he's there. Trustee Stelter, are you and I on that motion? I guess we'll just.
Aye.
Oh. Hey, good. Thank you. Our next order of business is RFQ 2025-07, Safe Streets for All Consultant Decision.
Yes, so this was a tabled one, and the reason we tabled it was I completely missed, and I know a proposal that had come in on a day before they were due. That firm was Consor, and I eat crow for that. I missed it. We scored them again. The scoring committee consisted of myself, a police officer, or Sergeant Henderson, a trustee Hunter, and a public works director, Nikki. Sorry. So there were four of us that scored. We scored independently. We also scored Consor independently when they came, when I found the mistake. I didn't find the mistake when I was alerted to the mistake that they were missed. And I wanted to show the email that had come in. This is the email. It did come in a day early. So it came in on Tuesday instead of Wednesday when they were due. And like I said, I had missed it. The unfortunate part is that the top firm during the previous meeting was now the second firm. Consor's proposal was really strong, at least in my opinion, and it reflected that with our other scoring, the rest of our scoring committee. I could see, there was some suggestion that we interview those two firms. That That is something that is your decision to make, but it was something that was listed as may be done before final scoring in the RFQ. And so, I didn't recommend that. And I could see really pushing for an interview if the scores were really close. There was 100 points difference between those two scores that I think is a large enough gap that I don't know if it's necessary. It's really unfortunate because that second firm, is KLJ. They are an exceptional firm. We scored them really high. And so again, that was my mistake. I missed it. And I felt so bad. But I tried to communicate that I communicated it as soon as it came in. I consulted with our town attorney, and throughout that entire RFQ process with the different addendums that came in, I did communicate those things as well. We used our platform. But again, those decisions are yours to make. If you feel like 100 points isn't that big of a difference, and you want to interview those firms, that's your prerogative. That would be changing the RFQ a little bit, the process that we've established through that paperwork. But I'm leaving that there for you. And this was the other reason why there were so many pages in this agenda packet, is we had to review, and some of these proposals were 16 pages long or longer. And so we as the scoring committee had to review every one of those proposals that came in. Was it 9 or 10 total that we received with Consor? That's an incredible amount. So I can say in a decade of doing this with multiple projects, this RFQ alone was the most proposals I've ever received for any single RFQ. I mean, I think the next most was like 6, and 9 is huge. So
This is in your career.
in my career. And like I said, every one of these proposals, these are really qualified firms. So
I was just gonna, second that seeing the response is great, but seeing the quality of the responses was amazing. Yeah. Heartening.
This is one that we have 2 firms represented online, so I'm sure there's going to be some public comment.
Any more comments from the trustees or any questions? Okay, well, maybe the best thing to do would be open it to public comment. So the 2 representatives that are on Zoom, if you would like to say, I guess, 3 minutes of comments, please feel free to do so. And you just need to raise your yellow hand. Okay. Seeing none and no one in the audience, correct? Okay. Well, so do you want to go ahead and
So I'll give my 2 cents worth.
Yeah,
The
please
comment
do.
before making a motion
Yeah,
is,
thank you.
I'd be inclined to go with the staff recommendation in the report. I think, for me, the winning or the top bid so far came in as my 3rd. But all top 3 were so good, it was hard, it was a hard decision to make. They were all really qualified. But I would be inclined to go with the staff recommendation of Consor Engineering.
keep that in mind? Somebody like to make a motion to that effect?
I move to direct town staff to enter into negotiations with Consor Engineering, the highest scoring proposer for RFQ 2025-07, Safe Streets for All consultant, and return with a draft professional services agreement for board consideration.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, multiple seconds. That's all good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you, everybody. So now we are at, we're actually on page 974 in the packet, and we are at the ratification of the selection of a mayor pro tem. Just clerk Benner, you got your juice. Yeah, sorry.
So at my request, at our last regular meeting, the board actually added the choosing of a mayor pro tem, at my request, but I hadn't gotten it on there. Mayor pro tem obviously, takes over if the mayor can't be here. And then can also back up on signing things or things like that if for some reason the mayor's not here. So this is just a transparency thing, is putting it back on here because then it's properly noticed. If you guys have changed your mind, you can. Otherwise, if you would redo your selection, you chose trustee Stelter to now be mayor pro tem Stelter. It's just transparency sake. So
You need a motion ratifying?
yes, please.
Okay. If there's no discussion, would someone like to make such a motion? Seeing none, any public comment on this issue? Thank you.
I'll move to ratify Rick Stelter as new mayor pro tem.
Second that. This is quick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you again. You didn't vote.
I abstain.
You're already following.
I know you did. I know that's quite, yeah. Okay. All right. Last but not least, consideration of approval of the hiring of a contractor to address drainage issues and subgrade and surface materials and for a concrete pad for compost project out on the 3rd Street, also known as Twin Lakes.
So to start off, I want to introduce Robbie Birch, who is our interim public works supervisor. This will be his first staff report. He's going to present it. He's done all the legwork behind it. So I think he deserves to go ahead and present the case.
4 years, 5 years? 4 years. So he's been with us for 4 years.
Yeah, so he's been interim supervisor for a month, just has 30-day review. He's crushing it. So now he's gonna step up and do this one right here.
So the Delta Compost project that we would like to get construction going on is going to alleviate some of the problems that we're having with local yard waste and compostable materials. And what we're trying to do is build a compost bin in Twin Lakes in partnership with Delta Compost. And if this project is completed, it will actually lessen the cost to the town to compost materials instead of us having to pay for it. The Delta compost those items at no cost. The only cost to the town is what it would take for them to haul their roll-off containers. And so that's kind of a big issue there. We keep compostable material out of the landfill is the big idea here. The contractors are needed because the town's current capabilities are lacking to do this. Also, we're getting in to colder weather and we don't have the tools and equipment to do a cold weather concrete pour. So we would need to go with a contractor to complete that.
So I think you guys have probably seen Twin Lakes after it rains. It's just a giant puddle. That's what we're trying to fix with this, so that they can fix that subgrade where we are gonna slap down the concrete pad. That's the majority of the quotes which he's put in there. And like I said, if we were to do it, yes, of course, we'd come in the cheapest, but we don't have to. We just don't. And or the manpower or the ability, like he said, to do cold weather concrete. So our recommendation.
Yeah, so meeting with the contractors that submitted bids and doing some numbers. The Public Works Department would like to recommend Farnsworth Construction to move forward to fix the subgrade, prepare the lot, they're gonna pour the concrete. The price that they submitted, total cost is around $15,000 with getting the aggregate we needed and then the bid that they submitted. The other quote that was submitted was a little over $30,000. with what they're doing, the equipment that they're bringing in, dozers and a professional grade repair is absolutely reasonable.
Can I add to that? So Farnsworth also has a house engineer. She's yeah, so she's an engineer as well, would know how to help with drainage. So I think that's why their quote was significantly less than the other.
And they're super local, so mobilization's pretty low.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump away, right?
Yes.
How tall are the CMU walls gonna be?
So they're gonna be on the backside, 5 feet, on the side, 5 feet as well. The front will be open.
Yeah, so we're just gonna get the blocks, not the Jersey barriers, but the concrete blocks. So we're only pouring a pad, which it's got like helps on cost. So 2 blocks high.
I guess, so my comments are that this is a great project. I definitely want to move forward with it. This is awesome. My concern is this is the entrance to town. This is gonna be ugly.
It's also temporary, and that's why we're trying to make it minimal, that way it can be removed super easy as well. We're kind of tucking it back a little bit. Where the massive drainage issue is, because it is kind of tucked out. We didn't want to put it close to the river, because that's not good either. So we didn't put it all the way to the back due to then we would have to re-gravel the entire length for those big trucks to get in there. Yeah. But it's temporary.
So what's the long-term plan?
I've not got there yet.
By temporary, she means this could be 2 to 3 years.
Oh, yes,
So,
right, yeah, but it's a start so that we can get it out of the landfill, because there might be also an issue with the landfill just not taking it. So we gotta get ahead of the curve, or we're trying to get ahead of the curve, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I'm also wondering, is there any kind of like screening we could do? But I don't know if that's.
And we thought about fence, so these quotes don't include fencing. We'll come up with stuff on that part as well, so we'll look at it.
that's a deer disease. We don't have to haul. Yeah.
Other questions from trustees? Yep. Trustee Tarno, go ahead.
Well, I have a new question now. I did not understand what the precise location is. So this isn't going to be back towards the river. It's going to be just off the road, the highway?
It'll be just south of where we put up that new banner holder. Kind of tucked up next to the berm over on that side, so it's on the east side of the pad.
Is that a ditch? It's right there.
There's a ditch over there too, that's where the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just 2 other questions. So this sort of jumped on the agenda last minute almost, saying that was a project that needed a decision. So I was wondering, what's the urgency with getting a decision on this? Not any judgment there. I'm just kind of curious why that is. And also, what is the status of the arrangement or agreement with Delta Compost?
Yeah, so I'm going to take that one for the Public Works crew. The first answer is, at first, we thought we could do this in-house, and it quickly became something that we just weren't equipped to do. And so that's what Rodney was explaining. We just don't have the equipment to do it. And second with that is we're trying to get it in place before the first of the year and before the first snowfall. So, measurable snowfall. So that's kind of why this urgency is happening, because this will get us ready to go. As far as the agreement, our plan is to have something to you right after the first of the year with Delta Compost. As far as, a long-term agreement where we know what that cost will be for transporting those, are they 30-yard or 40-yard dumpsters? So they're 40-yard roll-off dumpsters, what that cost will be, per trip. So so we can have that ready to go. Ultimately, we are firmly believing that the cost of that monthly roll-off, those trips, are going to be significantly lower than filling up a trash truck to take it to the landfill. and then paying per ton. So that's kind of where we're at.
So I have a couple questions. I didn't see a Benson Brothers quote in here. If it is, I didn't see a name, but there's a quote from the Whitewater Building Materials, which is a quote for block.
Yes,
So can you describe, so you're saying you're gonna have a, whatever it is, 20 by something platform, that's, no public is coming in here, this is strictly what the town picks up. So the public was mentioned in the Farnsworth. That they wanted to make it, they suggested we do something, so if, when the public comes in, they won't, I don't know.
so
But it's not intended for the public to bring their own waste too. Yeah. So the block, so is this quote, does Farnsworth's proposal include the block for the burner?
So no, they don't. So their quote was $1,975. And the total cost if we go with Farnsworth will be about 15 because we will need to purchase aggregate and the block from Whitewater.
But he'll set it
But we will sell it.
and spread it.
Yes.
So we do need to keep the Whitewater block. You're planning to use their block to build the back of the
Yes.
berm. Okay, so it's Whitewater block, but Farnsworth is going to install the block. Okay, so then, will there be a roll-off sitting on that cement? No, like
It'll be next.
so tell me, how are you dumping the truck and getting it in the roll-off? I am confused.
So we have a backhoe, but that's what we'll store there and we'll just dump it in the bin, kind of like when you go and get gravel. There's a concrete floor, we'll
Yeah.
scoop it up, put it in the dumpster. And we'll have a space on both sides, because they're gonna drop off an empty one, pick up the full one, then pick up the full one, drop off it, so it'll just all sync sides of that bin.
So then you're not gonna have, it sounds like we may not have a truck for you that was in our capital improvement list.
And that's why we don't know what that vehicle would be yet,
So,
we
Are
can
you-
figure that out, so we pick it up.
and let me back up. So my trash day is on Monday. And if I have a bin, are you gonna be picking days that you're gonna do strictly yard waste pickup? Okay,
You're getting ahead of.
well, here's why I'm asking. I don't understand what the cement platform is for.
It's so we don't like scoop into the dirt when we pick it up to put it into the.
So that platform is gonna have block around three sides,
Yes.
all from front to back. So it's gonna be like a big bin and that's where the town's gonna dump all the yard waste, and then you're gonna take a backhoe and fill up the roll-off when Delta Recycling brings you the roll-off.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they'll take that one and leave another one. So there'll always be an empty roll-off sitting there.
Yes, until we,
Okay.
yeah.
You said no initially. That's why I'm
Yes,
asking.
why-
And that's
There's
why,
gonna be one there until they come pick it up.
right.
Yeah.
So there'll have to be one there because you're gonna be filling it.
Correct.
They're gonna take it away and you're gonna be filling it over time, but during the week. Okay,
And that's
So
so we
it's-
figure out how fast we fill it up.
I think it's a great idea, but it is gonna be ugly.
Like.
Sorry, but it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have, where is the opening gonna be? Facing Samuel Wade or facing
Facing
north,
west.
south?
It'll
Face
Face the river.
the
Yes.
opening where the,
I guess we can turn it however we really like.
Yeah, we could turn it, but
I mean-
also grab out the initial spread the bin to face the opening to face the river.
yeah, to me, if you, drainage wise, because it sounds like they want it to drain to the east.
Correct.
To the ditch. So it seems like it would look better if what you saw when you drove into town was that block wall. On the roadside and your opening is west, would that work? You see what I'm saying? Because if I drive into town and I'm looking into a big bin.
We just have to sweep it out more, which takes more aggregate.
It's okay. So. If I didn't realize that aesthetics, I have never, that was not even anything that crossed my mind, sorry. But it is something that you have a connection with North Fork High School. You got them to paint a mural at a pavilion. If we have that block wall there, you could get them to paint something.
You also gotta realize the
So-
pool's only like this high.
I know,
It's not very big, so.
but that rock wall, I mean, there might be a pile of waste above it. But you wouldn't be looking into the bin as you drive by, right?
Yeah, we can rotate it to where you can, absolutely.
So you can say, go miners.
Well, it just seems like it would. I mean,
No, and it makes sense, all right? It is the interest of town. I just wasn't even thinking aesthetics. I know we were just thinking, we want to save money in the sanitation fund. We don't want to keep using compost in the landfill. We hate that. And it just made more sense to do this program. But aesthetically, I think we can, I mean, it's still something that having Farnsworth, they can help design it, rotate it to where it needs to be. And I know I just thought of the idea of a mural, but I think it's something that we absolutely can
Get a truck on sides.
Yeah.
We can rotate it however we want.
and then, and will that take more gravel you're gonna have to gravel the roadway.
But further west. But
And I had no idea what this was gonna look like. So I figured, well, we'll just talk about it tonight. So now I understand it's a three-sided
yeah,
bin.
just like you would go get gravel
Yeah.
somewhere.
We're planting trees
That's what
in
it'll
front
look
of
like. Might.
Yeah. It's a thought, yeah.
I mean, it is the entrance to town, but it's also like financially, it's a great idea, environmentally, it's a great idea, like I'm fully behind it, it's
Yeah, me
just,
too.
let's minimize the ugliness as much as possible.
If you can,
Fence, blind,
So-
the banner.
Fence,
like,
very, but expensive.
what's that? Yeah, I mean, just having that wall be what people see. And where would the roll off be?
If
Would
we
it-
on either side,
So there'd be a roll off in front of that wall?
Or next.
yeah, be next to it. And so
I just think the worst thing would be looking into a bin filled with stuff.
So, you know, to me, I would say we keep that bin on the same side, probably the south side. And so even when they bring it in, they might have to drop it, pick up and move the old one. There might be a little more work for them. But as long as it's always gonna be on the south side, and it should work out, especially for aesthetics. I know it's not something we planned on, but just. It's the last thing you wanna hear are people coming to a meeting during public comment to say it's ugly, and especially when, like, the library just put in that new, that new sculpture, you know, those kinds of things. So a mural might make sense. I'm just.
It's an easy adjustment that the culture, just because going with Farnsworth Construction, this thing. Farnsworth will be doing the whole project, so they'll be able to adjust the grade for how the concrete will be ordered.
I think that'd be great, personally. Thank you for explaining what this was gonna look like.
However, did you say you want the roll on the south side? Or the east side?
I'm thinking,
Because the opening is to the south.
the opening is gonna face to the west. Like,
Yeah, I would think it could face the west.
So,
See what you got in town.
getting so out of the place, the east itself, to be out of public. view.
Yes, if we face it to the south, the dumpster has to be on the
Now,
east side, which means we have to have room to drive around it. To dump into it, which would move the whole project out, which is more aggregate. That would be my
It
point.
costs a little more.
It will cost. To move it that.
Well, I think it's worth it personally.
No, I feel that, you know, I would, the way to move forward with this would be, you're looking for what, how much money total?
15.
15,000 go with Farnsworth.
So if we were to say it would be a not to exceed of 20,000, I think that could cover any adjustments that might be necessary. And so I know the budget line is blank. I was working on RFQs and I didn't, you know, that was my part to fill out. We would use a combination of sanitation for capital outlay and then our sales tax capital improvement plans, our capital improvement fund.
To ask for clarification on the pricing. So Whitewater building material, so if we take the Farnsworth at 9975 and add in the Whitewater building materials, that comes to 12,115.
Yes,
And we're just giving ourselves room with the 15?
yeah, well, so the 15 comes if you add in Western Sound and Crapples Iron. That will take
Oh,
us up
gotcha.
to this.
Okay.
And trustee Stelter has his hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yes, as far as aesthetics go, how about we buy 20 hybrid poplars and plant them 4 feet apart in staggered rows? And that would cover it up. In 2 years. You won't even be able to see anything.
Are you being facetious? When that big board?
No,
Yeah, well,
Are you suggesting and face it the original way and let the trees be the block, or use the trees with this proposed alignment?
if the aesthetics matter, plant the trees to just hide whatever you don't want to see. And a staggered row, they're planted basically 2 feet apart, and hybrid poplars grow between 15 and 20 feet per year. And it won't be a very short time, but they will be covering it. It'll screen it entirely.
But you're not suggesting that the opening face Samuel Wade?
I am not.
Okay, I just
have a comment as far as the trees. So if this is intended to be temporary and we still as a town don't have any official long-term goals for this property set aside, I would kind of shy away from planting trees at this point.
So I'm gonna offer anyone in the audience or anyone else come on up, and I'm gonna, Marty, she had her hand up first. Come on up, Marty.
Well, isn't concrete really expensive?
Would you give us your
Sorry,
name?
Marty German, I live in town. I'm a reporter. So concrete doesn't seem very environmentally friendly. And it doesn't seem very inexpensive either. I'm just commenting on that, because I realize we're trying to be environmental, and I'm not clear on what the compost is. Is it the trees and brush and that's kind of, it's not like me taking out my little compost thing and making the compost, no.
it's yard waste.
It's yard waste, okay, let's call it that, yes, yeah. Anyway, those are my immediate thoughts, and yes, I agree, I think it will be very ugly. I kind of like the thought idea. You want to come up too?
I gotta follow it.
That's short, I live in town. Councilman Heck, isn't there a problem with water? When you
Yes.
plant trees, you have to have water, a source. And that, to me, my understanding is that's been the long-term problem with the tree board. Being able to plant trees is because there's a problem with the water. So what would be the purpose of planting the trees if there's no water source to water the trees? And if it's just a temporary thing, why do you want to go through the expense, time, effort, et cetera, to plant trees for something that's, I think that the mural sounds like a really great idea. Personally, it's my honest opinion. I mean, sure, that's legitimate. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Any other trustee input?
Should have thought of aesthetics, I'm sorry, at least had a site plan, I didn't think of it. So the good news is the roll-offs are gonna be brand spanking new, and they are to us, that's the good news, so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no,
I don't know, I haven't talked, you know what, I can ask,
yeah.
I can ask.
So I had one more thought. So if somehow the agreement with the Delta Compost somehow falls by the wayside, would this still be something the town could do? Because it seems like the town still would like to have yard waste be a separate pickup and could do something. I mean, I don't know that we're gonna start our own composting situation.
Comprehensive plan says we need to consider it, so.
I mean, yeah, the city of Cheyenne does it, but they have a lot of people,
Yeah.
50,000 people. So it's a lot of work.
If Delta Compost were to fall through, there are other companies that we can start looking at, including doing maybe peace partnerships like with soil, peony soil, things like that. We've not even.
Well, we
Yes.
have 8 minutes before we'll need to extend the meeting.
I have time flies. Okay, is somebody ready to make a motion? We won't have to extend the meeting. Are you all feeling like you have enough information?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think it's important to note that in the spring and summer months, the town is hauling 6 to 10 tons of yard waste. I think it's important to consider because it's a substantial amount of waste getting over it.
What do you think the average cost is in there and back and the tipping fee?
I'm more worried about wear and tear on the garbage truck.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
that would be a hard number to look at, but, Rodney, you've made that trip, I don't know, many times. How much time does it take you to go to the landfill and back?
So they around 2 hours each, or 2 hours a trip to get to the landfill back, and that is without construction and without, it's just a normal trip.
And how many tons can our garbage truck hold for one trip?
So we on a full load about 10.5 tons.
So it's 3/4 of a truck, it's
It's $15 a ton.
it probably will go up, so, no, it went up $15 a ton.
Yeah,
What
it's
do we
up to
pay?
65 at some
A ton.
It's 65 a ton.
Thank you. Okay, somebody ready to make a motion? We have cheat sheet.
If you do make a motion, I would ask that it's up to $20,000. That gives some leeway for aesthetics to make it more visually appealing than a trash can. Yeah.
I would move that we ask the administrator to negotiate with Farnsworth Construction for the subgrade and surface concrete pad for not more than 20,000.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, everyone. And we do not have to stay because I got signatures on this sheet, so unless anybody has anything else, we will adjourn the meeting at 9:25. Thanks, everybody. Just your signature and we're this.
It's the case.
Are you bringing that to me?
Yeah, I can bring it to you.